Frostpunk is one of my favourite games ever, and that is mainly due to one thing: the atmosphere. Oh my god, the atmosphere in this game is damn near unmatched. And that isn't knocking anything else in this game, because as far as gameplay goes, this game is also on top. But I will mainly be focusing today on how Frostpunk's setting has sucked in millions. And if you enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Now, let's start with the narrative and story. So, unlike most games, there aren't many cutscenes in this game where you get an exposition dumped by a few characters to keep the story moving forward. And to be honest, there aren't really many characters in this game, other than you, who is leading the city to survival, and how far you're willing to go to keep the city surviving. From having children working in the mines risking their lives, or feeding the civilians sawdust meals to make sure you have more than enough food to go around. The game's all about little decisions like that, and you will know what your people have to say about your decisions from little murmurs you have in the city, and little speech bubbles will pop up saying what they think. You will also see little notes from scouts that you send out in the Frostland, which can be extremely dark sometimes, like saying how a whole little settlement has been wiped out from the cold, and they had kids and stuff. So yeah, the game can get extremely dark. And with the DLCs included, like the last autumn, you have to kind of stick together the timeline yourself, which isn't too hard to do, but it's still a really fun puzzle to figure out the events of the game. One of the most shocking things that happened in the story for me was a guy lost his child in the storm before he made it to New London, and he wants to send a group of scouts out to look for them. And as that all goes on, you'll kind of forget about it as you're trying to minimise the casualties for the rest of the game. And then out of nowhere, you'll get a little alert, you'll click it, and you can find out that, you know, the guy that wanted to find his child has killed himself out of grief, which is such a haunting moment because it just shows a picture of like a chair knocked over and a pair of hanging legs, and you have a proper moment where you think, was this my fault? And yeah, it pretty much was, because you didn't prioritize finding his child, which is one of the things this game does flawlessly. After every decision, after every death, and after every fuck up, you think, what else could I have done? And you always know there was something else you could have done, but the responsibility of the city survival quickly takes over, and you kind of forget for a little moment about what you've just done, but it will come back. There are also events in this game depending on what building or law you pick, and I'm going to read a few of them out just to get the message of how fucked up this game truly is. So if you pick the House of Pleasures, which is essentially a brothel, you'll get an event labelled suicide, followed by this quote: "Sir, one of the people we forced to work in the House of Pleasures has committed suicide. The other prostitutes say it was following a visit from a client known for abusing them." Other than the sad event of the suicide, you see the other issue. I'll read the very beginning of it again. "Sir, one of the people we forced to work in the House of Pleasures has committed suicide." How fucked up. Because of a law you picked, women have been forced into prostitution. Here's another one if you pick the snow pit, where bodies are dumped. You'll get this one. "A woman sitting in the snow pit, holding her dead husband's hand, crying out, 'Perhaps you should have agreed to give people proper burials after all.'" Again, the game just guilts you for making a choice that you thought was the right one at the time, and even tells you maybe the other option was better. Now, that's all I'm going to read off for the laws and quotes, but I'll let you know there's so many of them, and you should definitely go and give some of them a look yourself, because they're really dark, but really moving at the same time. Another thing this story does is, during the second act of the game, the Londoners start to rebel against you after some bad news, and you need to figure out how to stop them from rebelling, causing you a shit ton of issues and recruiting more and more people to leave the city, fucking both the city over and them. Now, do you run this place like a prison and don't let anyone have any form of free will, and then must bend the knee to every idea you have, losing the sense of community? Or do you lean more into the religious side of things and try to have a more peaceful solution? Either way, it's up to you, but you already know which one is more effective but comes with more issues. Everything I've just mentioned as well has come from A New Home, which is one of 6 different scenarios, each one having different surprises and events to really fuck you up. And, you know, it makes you feel like scum. But I'm not going to do each one individually, so when it comes to the story and narrative, I'll leave it there, because I'm not going to break down the arc, last autumn, and the other four or three, sorry. So yeah, I'll leave it there and we'll move on to the sound design. When we're talking about the sound design in games, this game might be an example of what every game should aim to do. Let's start with just the wind in the game. You can hear it so loudly in your ears, and somehow it takes you there. You can imagine how cold it is due to the sound of the wind blowing past. Or when it gets colder, you can hear like some ice forming, and you can see it around the screen. And it just gives you that much more to worry about by immersing you into the world. When you zoom in into your little city, you'll be able to hear murmurs of people chattering, and it gives off such a great ambience of being in this extremely busy and hectic city where you already know no one can stay in one place for that long because there's always something to be done. Something I found out recently, which I love, is at the start of the day you can hear a shift start sound effect, and depending on what laws you pick in the game, the shift start sound effect will change. Another little thing you'll be able to hear when you zoom into the city is the sound of your generator humming or burning through coal, which also just does wonders for the game, and it just gives you that small bit of hope when you can hear it burning. It makes you feel not cozy, but something pretty similar to that. The city also has a person who tells people that it's time to work or their work time has come to an end and other stuff like that, and hearing him say his lines also adds something, because sometimes he's drowned out by the storms that are passing by or by the people of the town. When going through the menus, which you will be doing a shit ton of, because let's face it, it's a city builder, you are going to be going through menus non-stop. You're greeted by a mechanical like sound, which is perfect due to the steampunk mechanical setting of the game, and the game really does focus on that, and it elevates and perfects the steampunk setting, I think. I could keep talking about each individual change and stuff like that, because I'm not kidding, I could be here for hours and hours talking about each individual bit that this game has going for it. But I don't really understand much when it comes to layers and levels of decibels and that kind of smart stuff, so I'll move on to the next section. But before we do move on to the next section, I do want to make it clear, if you want to watch a video of someone breaking down the sound design fully, then you should go watch how Frostpunk utilised psychological tricks in their sound design by Game Audio Learning. It's a fantastic video. Okay, so the composer for Frostpunk is, and I'm sorry because I'm almost 100% going to butcher the name of this guy here, but it's Piotro Muschel, and the work he's put into this game is phenomenal. I'm just going to talk about 3 of the songs from the soundtrack. I think there's 10, but yeah, I just want to speak about 3 of them. The Frostpunk theme, Into the Storm, and The City Must Survive. And we're going to start with the Frostpunk theme, which is mainly using a violin and cello, and the theme builds so much sorrow to begin with. So when you load up the game, you instantly get told from the music what you need to know. The world's fucked. It is just tragedy, and as the song gets on a bit, it slowly gets louder and quicker, but rather than staying gloomy, it makes you feel like maybe there's some hope. You will be pushed to your absolute limits, and at the end of the song you will hear clicking or 2 sticks hitting together. I'm not too sure what it is that's made to make that noise, but it almost sounds like a clock's ticking, almost to say that the city you're in charge of is on borrowed time, and there is nothing you can do but attempt to beat the clock. And that ticking is so powerful. The fact the song starts out so sorrow-filled then makes you believe you can beat nature itself by changing its tone. It makes you think you can be the one to save New London, then just ends with the clock ticking. It's perfection. There are so many different ways to take that clock ticking sound effect, but in my opinion, the best way to say it is what the game says at the start of every morning. Your shift starts now. Okay, the next song I want to talk about is Into the Storm. I saw someone say this song is the emotion dread personified, and I could not describe it better myself. This song comes on onto the build-up of the Great Storm, the biggest challenge the game will have thrown your way, and the song alone makes sure you feel like you aren't ready for what's to come. You aren't ready for all this hard work to come crashing down, but it is inevitable. This song is literally the build-up to a massive boss fight in a normal game, but the difference here is the boss's nature itself, and it's pissed. The slam on the drums, almost as if you were marching to some kind of war, is fantastic. The use of the drums is one of my favourite bits about this song. And also this song, in a way, is just taunting you, because you will have a countdown for when the Great Storm will arrive, so you're just panicking, trying to sort everything out you can before you are out of time. You'll keep checking your stocks as the music gets louder and more ominous, praying you have enough to survive. And if you have tried all game to be a good person, that will all go out the window very quickly. You will be begging the children to go into the mines and risk their lives to get you some more coal to keep that generator burning. As long as if your resources are up, you don't care what you've got to sacrifice. Once this song comes on, you have one of two thoughts. Either we're fucked, or the city must survive. And that leads me to the final song I wanted to talk about, The City Must Survive. So I said Into the Storm was the build up to the boss fight. Well, this is the boss fight. The Great Storm is here, and the name of the song says absolutely everything. This is the final push, and the music is just getting more and more tense, while you're doing everything you can to ensure the city's survival. And people will be dying left and right, resources will be going out the window, and you can't do anything to help that, but watch and hope you had enough. Hope you prepared correctly, and this song delivers that emotion to you in spades. And during this song, the temperature goes up to from minus 20 Celsius to minus 50, which is colder than the North Pole. And then out of nowhere, near the end of the song, the temperature jumps to minus 150 Celsius, which is fucking insane, because carbon dioxide freezes at minus 78.5 to make dry ice. And the song is just building and building, knowing the city or the storm will win. And the ending to this song is so beautiful, so cinematic, and so climactic. This is humanity's last stand, and then the end of the song hits like a truck. And the end of the game also hits. You survived, but at what cost? Almost all your resources will be gone, and a lot of families will have frozen, but at least the city survived. Also, something I've noticed was in the middle of this song, if you listen through it in full, you'll hear what sounds to be like ticking, like a clock, linking back to the Frostpunk theme with the ticking. And that's what that ticking was leading to. The city must survive. This game is honestly a masterpiece. So yeah, that's just 3 of 11 songs in this game, and each one carries a significant amount of weight behind it. But I did just want to single out 3 of them for being my favourite and most emotionally charged, and truly brings you into the world one way or another. Finally, I do want to talk about the visuals for this game, not in a great amount of detail, but I do want to just gloss over them. Okay, so this game's main colours are black and white, and I know that sounds a bit drab, but trust me when I say this is one of the most visually appealing games I have ever played in my life. And no, it isn't super hyper realistic like Red Dead 2. But instead, it is super stylized. Like, every time a choice comes up and you look at the art, holy shit, sometimes I just sit there for a few moments looking at it. I try to take in everything that I can, and when it comes to the actual city itself, when you're looking down at it, you will see snow flying past your screen, but it's never in your face, distracting you from what's at hand, which is a very fine line that the developers had to walk, and they nailed it. And I know that I said the main colours are black and white, but as you can see, there's also the roaring fire from the generator, which carries so much weight because 90% of the colour from your city is coming from that generator. And once that turns off, so does your whole city. Even the gameplay and visuals tell a story with what you're doing, and that plan is flawlessly executed. The last thing I want to mention is the progression of the city. It goes from, well, pretty much just the generator at the start of the game, to eventually what looks like a functioning city, all thanks to your hard work, and it never feels too over the top, because you're aware of each building you place, and everything you do has consequences, so you'll kind of remember where everything is. And every person has a designated area to go to, a house, a tent, a little hut. So you're fully aware of the expansion of your city, and it never feels lost on you. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Frostpunk came out in April 2018, and I remember my first time playing this game and getting addicted to it, and 11-Bit Studios nailed it with this one. And to this day, it's one of my favourite games of all time and is 100% my favourite city builder of all time, because of the amount of depth this game has to it, both emotionally and in gameplay. This game is near flawless, and I even bought the board game because I saw it in game one day and I was just, browsing, instantly knew I have to get that. But I still haven't played it yet because it seems so complex, but it looks cool and maybe one day I will play it. I also have recently bought the Altars and played that through, and another banger that is. 11-bit Studios just won't let me down, and I don't think they intend to on any game soon, and they've announced another Frostpunk game, 1886 I think, and I'm sure that's going to absolutely slap as well. But yeah, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If not, let me know what I can do to improve. I've got an actual big project coming up to celebrate 1,000 subscribers, and thank you for that. It's, in line with the bread and butter of my channel, where I do 7-day challenges to 100% games. So if you're interested in that, again, please subscribe, and until next time.